Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to the Access Show today, taking a look at Last Oasis. You guys know I've been keeping you guys up to date on this game. A survival, massively multiplayer online game coming supposedly September the 3rd. Well, the developers have just announced that there is going to be a delay, and I actually think this is probably a good thing. From what I've seen of Last Oasis, it's probably one of the most interesting survival games for a long time. But like all early access games, you pretty much now only get that one big chance. It's no longer a case of saying, hey, we're going to work on something while it's in access and have a fantastic product at the end of it. We all saw how hard Atlas failed when it launched, even though it had a big pedigree with the Ark backing behind it. Last Oasis has got a lot to live up to if it wants to be a big player in the survival MMO genre. So spending a bit more time, getting a bit more polish, as the lead director and lead producer says here in this little video interview, is probably the best thing, and the delay is not that big. They're only delaying it until October the 10th. Donkey Crew have been running a alpha at the moment with hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of players taking part, helping secure bugs and just get more gameplay feedback and experiences back to the devs about what works and what maybe needs a bit of tweaking. You can see from this brand new footage of the Sandworm recently revealed at Gamescom 2019, another exciting component that's coming to Last Oasis, not just dealing with players in a PvP encounters, but also huge creatures like these, as well as some smaller enemies too. Donkey Crew are based in Poland, so it's probably a good chance for them to meet lots of press, lots of gamers in Gamescom and get a feel for it. And from what I can tell, a lot of the feedback is really positive. I am in the closed alpha. I can't actually say anything or talk to you about my experiences, but based on the public knowledge out there, I'm really getting excited for this one. I'd actually geared up and meant that I had lots of days off for this release. So while I'm a little bit disgruntled, I've got to change my plans now. I'm still going to be just as eager come October the 10th. I genuinely believe they're better off delaying a month. So far, it's only been a year or so since they announced Last Oasis, so it's not unexpected for them to have a few delays, and I really think this will benefit it. I'm going to mention Atlas once more. If you don't know, Atlas was a pirate game created by the creators of Ark Survival Evolved. They had a huge marketing push for it, getting streamers to showcase it for the weekend as it launched, and it just went horribly wrong. No one could get on the servers. The game was absolutely atrocious. It wasn't in an early access state at all. It was very much a demo. In fact, people realized it was actually just a mod from Ark Survival Evolved that had been worked on, and so that left a really sour taste. Atlas is dying at the moment hard. It can't keep up its player base. It just really has not grown at all in the last 9 months. So much so that they're actually just announced they're going to be changing their roadmap and changing a whole bunch of features. So that's the last thing that Last Oasis want. Maybe not having the history, the money and the experience that Wildcard and Grapeshot had. They need to make sure this launch is as good as it can be. It is early access, of course. There's always going to be bugs and problems, and that's never a worry, even if there are issues connecting to servers, as long as them issues can get resolved. But for sure, if you can prep more, if you can plan it a little bit better, I think it's much better for the game and the community, and they do seem to have that on board. They've had this alpha running a few months now. They're going to be rolling out a beta hopefully as well, and I think this is the right approach. So these developers really do seem like they're the real deal. They know what they're doing and have got hopefully the experience to measure and gauge whether or not their game is fit for early access or not. There was a lot of stuff that come from Gamescom, so I want to go over a few bits that I've learned recently, articles and some interviews that they gave over the last week or so. But I am showing you a little bit of footage of a dev blog they did last month, and I'd love to see some more of these, just really iterating on what Last Oasis is in terms of world, how you're going to be progressing through it, how it changes, and what is the basic story and the lore. So, brief breakdown. The Earth has stopped rotating. While it's still spinning around the sun, it does mean that some parts of the Earth are absolutely extremely cold or extremely hot. In Last Oasis, you're going to be stripping the lands in between that for resources, and you also need to construct these walkers so that you can get from the safe spot and just keep up with the safe spots, or moving from one safe spot to another. And what that really looks like is a grid or a honeycomb where there are different servers that you can jump on, taking your walkers with you and hopefully gathering more resources. What's really cool is that you can see the prices of these resources, maybe how rare they are and generally how much in demand they might be on these servers. So each little honeycomb, each little grid will have maybe more of a certain resource and less of something else, and so trade becomes important. So if you're not into PvP, there is a chance that you can just play as a trader or PvEer and just experience the world too. This little screenshot has lots of information as well about the player count, up to 50 players available on this, although that may change during even alpha or early access, as well as of course other bits of information like spawnable points and if there's a trading station. There are going to be sort of NPC cities built on these huge, massive walkers. I think they're going to be called flotillas if I'm correctly. And these are where you're going to be able to do trading and stuff like that and get to meet other players possibly. PvP is a focus of course though. You are going to be fighting other players, but not in a usual sense like other games where a lot of offline raiding happens. Last Oasis isn't doing offline raiding. You're going to have specific areas where you can log off with your sort of walker and you'll pack it up basically. It's one of the biggest issues I have with survival games, how they expect you just to stop your life to play them all and sink so many hours in. So no offline raiding is fantastic for me. The combat is still looking pretty sweet, complex. It's going to be very different I think from games like Ark or Rust. You're going to have to actually think more about like Mount and Blade, them sort of games where you're doing directional attacks. And very much focused on melee. You're not going to be suddenly going at it with steampunk machine guns. Well, maybe not yet anyway. Don't worry, there will be some firearms though. Like I said, maybe not machine guns, but you are going to be coming across rifles and flint-top pistols and stuff like that. But maybe not still the focus, it's more about the melee combat. Lots and lots of good features. I want to be doing more and more talking about Last Oasis in the next few weeks. Finding a really rich server grid or oasis that you're going to be fighting over could be something that is pretty much like the pinnacle of the game. Fighting other players to get the best resources on certain grids and then getting out before the sandstorms come in or the server actually goes offline because it's been destroyed by heat. And this can all be done on rotation. It's looking likely you'll be revisiting some of these grids back again, or they'll be repurposed and they'll have different resources on them. Taking a look at an article that was released by a Dutch or German website, Gamescom 2019 ticker, it says here that the servers will last for 7 nights, but previously I think they've said they can adjust and change the server lengths at will, so some of the server grids may be only open for certain specific times and other grids may be open much longer. So it really mixes up the world, the gameplay, what you're going to be doing day to day. Do you want to try your luck on another grid? Are you going to be just knuckling down on that one and defending yourself while you gather more resources? It really makes Last Oasis really interesting. A new screenshot from the same article also shows a little bit more closeness of the sort of arthropod creatures, monkey-like apes that you're going to also be fighting. It looks like these are going to be a common enemy maybe running around these grids, and hopefully you're going to be trying to get resources and defending yourself from them as well. I'm pretty sure they've only really showed this off in a very brief clip at the end of the trailer, so it's good to see some screenshots focused, and clearly we are going to be taking on these creatures in the game. So not just desert, don't worry if you're a bit concerned about seeing nothing but sound. There are going to be water, obviously, areas or lush areas. There's greenery in the trailer as well. There's more mountainous regions. It does look like there's going to be a rich and varied landscape, considering it is still based partly in a scorched earth scenario. I'm going to leave a link for both articles that I've gained some of this information from if you want to take a more close read yourself. But one of them also states about the skill unlocks that you're going to be having. There is going to be leveling up. You will be able to unlock extra skills, so you'll be able to choose abilities based on what you prefer your style of play. The second article from GT magazine lists a little bit more detail how the offline raiding doesn't work. Basically, you just need enough water to get to a desert dune where you'll be able to log off. You basically be logging off in sort of a no man's land area. So as long as you can get your walker there, you won't be raided. So that's something you've got to think about. Is the raid or that, going to this grid going to be worth it to get water? Will you be able to get enough resources then to make it to no man's land? If you are still attached to your castles, you can still build bases. You can still have a land fortification. If you're really going to be protecting that server for the whole 7 days, it may be worth building something out of stone or making these wood ramparts with obviously turrets and stuff. But you can only pack up stuff that is on your walker. You won't be able to take any of the bases built on land, which is obviously a bit obvious, but hey, I'm going to state it anyway. Building your walkers looks like it's going to be something that you do in stages, so if you don't have all the parts in one single go, it's okay. You'll just simply have your blueprint and add to it as you progress, but looking ahead and using your grappling hooks is going to be important. Getting used to using them so you can move around and build it, and obviously take part in combat using your grappling hooks is going to be pretty important. You may not be holding on to these walkers as much as you might think though. From the looks of that worm at the start of the trailer, the sandworm, it looks like your bases could be destroyed pretty easily by one of them big creatures. So gauging, maybe taking notice of the landscape and not getting destroyed by a giant worm is probably going to be something you'll be looking out for a lot, as well as the players that are also going around. There's all different sizes of these as well, so you can make smaller ones if you're just a solo player. You're not going to have to be forced to gang up with people, but it does look like it's going to be more like Sea of Thieves. When you do have one of these big ones go in, you're going to need people that are going to man certain turrets, someone's going to steer, and someone else might be in control of the sails, etc. It's all looking pretty great. I can't wait to get my teeth into Last Oasis. So, good thing they've delayed it to add more polish. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below. Laters, rat bags.